In the bottom right side, we have a Red Zerg, officially from Sweden, now residing in the NA region. He's the Psystorm gamer man himself, Mr. Namshar.
And his opponent here, technically it's a team kill, but he only just joined Psystorm, what, 2 days ago from Canada. The other Maru, he is MaSa. And you can tell that this move, this team move, is so recent, he's still rocking the Exxon tag.
Aha, the reveal. You've been exposed, MaSa.
These are the secrets they don't want you to know. Well, lucky for you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone out there, you got Detective Kozan on the case.
That's right. I've found all the clues. I've hovered my mouse over his buildings, and I've figured it all out.
Yes, it was a great, long, and rather storied investigation. We'll have to tell the story of that one day. Pretty much once we figure out what that story was and how much we can embellish it. But for now, MaSa, he's on Psystorm. Notionally, it's a team kill, but I don't think these players have been practicing all that much together. Even if they have, I mean, you joined 2 days ago, and then you realize you have to play each other in 2 days. Maybe you practice after this. Maybe then they become your practice partner. But you talked about this a little bit, MaSa. He's also kind of semi-retired. You know, he's on. Yeah, he's on Psystorm now, but he pretty much joined as like just do. He joined Exxon to just kind of do whatever, keep playing the online cups as long as he stayed good. And I kind of get the feeling that really for MaSa and Namshar both, this is going to be their last season in DreamHack unless something changes drastically.
Well, I've always heard stories about MaSa where he would just disappear, right? And then he would make a comeback. Nobody would expect much of him. And then he just starts slaying nerds, right? He just has this, I don't know, some people just have this. MaSa hardly practices either, right? He even when he was going pro and he was doing StarCraft 2 or as much as he wasn't one of those players that would just endlessly put in ladder time and stuff like this. He would be quite casual about the amount of time he would invest into StarCraft 2, and he still had very good results with what he was doing. So yeah, always just one of those kind of myths of nature, right? Why is this guy just capable of getting that far in StarCraft 2 tournaments when he's not practicing that much?
I'm hearing the man is just a savant, and I think that's fair, right? MaSa, he just enters that hyperbolic time chamber on occasion, comes out of here as one of the best Terrans in North America, slays some nerds, goes back to sleep until it is time for him to arise again. But you know what? Unfortunately, it does not appear that, again, MaSa has entered that hyperbolic time chamber, at least not yet. He is still a sleeping King Arthur, not yet awake to claim the king, to claim the Sword of Kings and to start slaying nerds once again. And well, that means that Namshar, I actually don't know really who I favor in this series, right? They're both they both have the same map score, they both have the same series score. Both have taken 2 games and otherwise lost every single series. But again, if you have 2 players that are on a somewhat level of parity, right? They're both 0-4. That is often going to give us some better games than, say, you know, the top of the group versus the bottom of the group. So as much as kind of sad here that Namshar and MaSa seem to be playing less than they used to be, I am excited to see this game because I think it's going to be rather tasty, especially on Blackburn, which, while Terrans can be, there are some really good Terran pushes here. Notice actually Namshar just knocking down these rocks immediately to clear off one of those pushing opportunities. This map, when it gets to the mid game, when it gets to the late game, when it opens up a little, has given some of the greatest games I've had the opportunity to cast or watch. Really, kind of since Golden Wall almost.
Yeah, I just always have a soft spot in my heart as well for like these maps that have enough of like an identity, right? They truly sit apart from the rest of the maps, and it's just a lot of fun to see them coming in here. A couple of Hellions having a poke at the Queens, the Banshee trying to deliver that real DPS there, but good target fire by Namshar. It's not gonna fall for that trick. We'll just be able to force this backwards with relative ease.
Yeah, so for Namshar's part, as he does, oh, okay, that was just a creep tumor that went down. As he does, A, get rid of the rocks, B, get ready for all of this. Looks like he's going for a quick meta build. Oh, Never mind, roaches are on the way, and you know, that makes a lot of sense as much as I'm like, yeah, there are no evos. He's getting a lair just about done. This is going to be mutas, especially with the 4 gas that I think he has taken. Well, roaches are a really good tech on this map, and I'm kind of surprised the Roachborn is this late, though, just considering the fact that ideally the Roachborn is done if you are going roaches by the time that your lair is done, just so you can get your roach speed ASAP. But again, roaches are very good on this map, especially once you take those rocks down. You have some big engage opportunities, and we saw Rogue do this to Maru in the GSL, and it worked very well indeed.
Well, let's see if it's gonna work out against this Maru also.
Say, yeah.
2 benches, they are still trying to find some meat to put on their benchy wheels, but the Queen sent the Sport Crawlers. They're in good positions here. Namshar not letting them go down too easily. Wow, even keeping that Queen alive. I thought I was dead for sure, but in the nick of time, a transfuse came through.
So MaSa here, it looks like he is... does he have a third base? Yes, he does. Okay, I was going to say, it looks like he's going for 2 base all in, but no, third base is on the way here. 1-1, about halfway done. Combat shields as well. And again, one of the nice things about this map, we talked about this in the... Anyway, we talked about this in another game as well. This third base position here for the Terran in particular is really fantastic because it allows you to push and defend at the same time, right? So if you are a Terran in the style of MaSa, right, who is maybe a more micro-focused player, who does come from the era of parade pushes are, you know, better than anything else, this is a map in that style. This map is so good for parade pushes. It makes it so hard for the Zerg to really hold off because, I mean, look, Namshar took the third base here in part to make sure that, yeah, he's going to have enough creep spread out in the middle of the map, so he has some time to make sure that he's alive. But, well, we don't have roach speed yet. These queens are going to go on down. No, okay, we'll be transfused, but I think one of these should go down at the very least here. The roaches and ravagers now, they are on the field. And now they're going to run through the slow zones. Tanks are going to try to unsiege, but they're just going to go down immediately. This Banshee, though, is going to make it very difficult indeed here for Namshar to really get too much done. That being said, there's just a lot of roaches here. Havats are going to get more to die, and this tank on the high ground is going to have to be the saving grace for Namshar in this game number 1. But we have Biles, and that Biles me the tank and the medevac. It will go down.
Wow. That's a fancy trick shot right there. Namshar running away immediately as well as soon as he sees that there are quite a considerable amount of Marines available there. And he's just going to wait for a bigger wave of roaches, it looks like. More of them just being produced endlessly here. Doesn't seem like there's much else on his mind rather than just let's finish the game right here, right now.
Ooh, this is not a good position here for Namshar to fight into in the short term. For Namshar to fight into in the short term as well. He's fighting through a slow zone, and the Terran army is not. But yeah, MaSa here, look at this. He's like, yep, I can't hold this. I'm not even going to try. Now, I would like to see this orbital command to go over to the linear third. Maybe that's a little bit better position to hold. But I mean, MaSa, we do have 2-2 on the way now, but same is true for Namshar as the roaches. They're going to move on in. And again, this Banshee is a big problem. I would love to see Queens just walk across the map. I mean, we have the creep spread for it. There we go. Queens are here to buffer because once that Banshee goes down, right, MaSa's hold in this game is a whole lot more difficult. As the Banshee's alive, well, it's fine. So notice here the roaches, they're not going too far away from these queens. And do we have any observers? No overseers here just yet because they're stuck in the slow zones. Now, Zergling counterattack, though, will be able to knock down a couple of these SCVs as well. And that does mean that Namshar can't really push too far because of the expand pattern here from MaSa, because he needs the creep spread, right? He needs to be able to keep this, he needs to be able to deal with this SCV, and he's never going to be able to get on top of it without creeps. So the creeps, they're spreading that. Roach is getting on into the third base. The mules, they've been dropped, but they're just going on down. 11 more workers die. Namshar is in a dominant position here in this game number 1.
Yeah, it's a very rough position indeed for MaSa here. It doesn't look like he has anything left to give anymore. He has that one Banshee just shooting away. It almost makes you think if... imagine if he had made 3 Banshees, right? Maybe, but, I mean... This is just slowly gonna get all taken out, it looks like. 121 army supply strong still. Namshar getting the 2-2 as well as MaSa, I suppose, but... It does seem like there is some breakage occurring here for MaSa, slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, the army supply gap is closing. It was like 80, now it's 60. I mean, that's a ray of sunshine, I guess. But, I mean, we're going to have to see Biles. They're not actually going to hit the tanks here. This Banshee's still firing strong. There are, what is that? There are 2 tanks here outside of this base. Well, outside the base here. And that is making this hold, actually, for MaSa a little bit easier. And once again, MaSa will hold. He really didn't lose. I mean, he lost army, but that's just about all he lost. And we talked about that 60 army supply lead. It's now 30, right? Every time that Namshar tries to make this happen, he just trades worse.
It definitely seems to be that way. I'm a bit surprised he keeps going in on that angle where that siege tank from the high ground just keeps barraging him. Maybe not fully aware of that fact, but well, it definitely is a lot of extra damage. I'm gonna quickly take a look. 9 kills on that siege tank right there.
Yeah, I do like this though. We do have a lurker den on the way, and this is, I feel like this is a little bit late for Namshar, right? Yes, he's shoving in, and yes, he's getting good damage done, but he could have made this transition into lurkers, adding some hydras maybe into his main army, like what we see Dark do, maybe just a little bit faster, as we do have the roaches. They will move on forward, trying to target down as many marauders specifically as they can, because those are the expensive units indeed. Those are what actually fights these roaches. But now, MaSa, you know what? Okay, he's down half. He's down 100% army supply again. He will be forced back. But he still has that third base. He's on 61 workers. He is getting liberators now. He's getting more tanks. He's getting much closer to stabilizing here in this game.
I love how Namshar is doing this. Kind of, it feels like an endless pushing of roaches, just forcing MaSa to trade with him, while he's still teching up, he's still taking bases, he's still getting all sorts of other stuff behind this. It feels like a very interesting way of playing, and I'm wondering if it's gonna pay off in the long haul here, or if he's just spreading himself too thin, trying to do everything.
Yeah, I mean, I like this position he's found himself here. It means he's going to kill a lot more workers, even as he is losing some workers of his own to the Liberators on the gold. The miles will not really land. And as cool as I'm like, oh yeah, he's found a way around this. He's found a better concave outside of the tanks. This is an army that he really can't run from, right? Terran can just stim his way up the high ground here, and suddenly Namshar is forced to fight once again. But where is this Liberator? It's continuing to get damage done. Oh, okay, the main base. There we go. And it will get taken on down now, but we should have we should have hydras on the way rather soon. We should see actually some lurkers start to hit the field, and this is where it gets scary. And this is actually one of the reasons I'm a big fan of this style, is Liberator will be able to knock these queens down. So again, these Liberators are doing a really good job of keeping MaSa into this game, but I'm a big fan of this style for one reason only. It means that once you get the roach phase done, you're gonna have +2, +3 lurkers, and that is so terrifying, right? +0 lurkers, they're fantastic. +3 lurkers are just on a whole nother level. And, well, that's going to be good there for Namshar. So we do have this army on the left-hand side. MaSa, for once, feels confident in actually moving out on the map. That file didn't land.
Yeah, apparently just barely being dodged there by MaSa. He's doing a good job floating around with this ball of bio still. The medevac's giving good support, trading whenever he can, doing a stim, healing up afterwards. And just sniping away at the edges of that roach army. Of course, the roach army not that bothered with losing a couple of their buddies. I mean, he is already maxed on the supply pretty much, and it is always nice to open up a bit of that for more lurkers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I like this is actually pretty cool here from Namshar as well. He is getting a roach burrow behind this. So not just will there be lurkers that are going to be able to help him be aggressive here, because we almost have burrow speed done on the lurkers, but he's going to be able to get some more harassment done with these roaches, because MaSa, yeah, he's able to move out on the map now. His army is a lot closer in both quality and quantity compared to Namshar. But here's the thing. Well, Namshar does lose his 5th base, so that's not quite as good. I was going to say, yeah, Namshar is a massive economic advantage here. Yeah, that is not a position you can attack on into MaSa, because MaSa, he's only on 3 bases. He is just about mined out of his main base, just about mined out of his natural. He needs to lift one of those and move them on. He can just barely, actually, I think the creep spread, if Namshar paid a little bit more attention, he could deny this 4th base for quite a while. And now we have Namshar. He's getting aggressive on his own. He has a decent army here. But where are the lurkers? Are still burrowed. They need to actually be joined up with the front of the army here. And that drop will get taken care of. So now, once again, Namshar, he's feeling confident in his aggression.
Yeah, it's we're seeing endless drops continuously for MaSa, trying to just keep Namshar on the southern side of the map, and it's somewhat kind of working out a little bit. Not sure if it's going to work out until the end, but yeah. What were you going to say?
It's kind of interesting. I'm looking at this. I'm like, yeah, MaSa, he's not dying in traditional senses. Yeah, my opponent went roaches. I'm not dead. I'm in a good spot. But with these lurkers here, with +3 lurkers too. Namshar, I mean, look at supply. His army is actually worth that much supply. Sometimes when you get to, you know, roach maxes, you're like, it's not all that great. With the lurkers here, with the hydras, it is. But what I would really like to see from Namshar, and I'm surprised we don't, is think about how good like two vipers would be, right? Just dealing with all of these tanks. And that would actually allow Namshar to take the fight. But now we have the roaches. They're just going to burrow on top of these tanks. Lurkers are going to burrow on in as well. And this should be the break here. Half the army of MaSa is out of position. The other half is going to go down. And the roaches, well, they're just going to sit here. They're going to wipe out the mineral line. And there we have it. Finally, Namshar, after, what, 15 minutes of trying, he's going to take game 1.
Yeah. Very cool playstyle there by Namshar. As I said, just continuous aggression with those roaches. Very cool stuff overall to see.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, right? This is a build that we first, or a style, I guess, not necessarily a build, that we first started to see Dark do at the end of 2020, or middle end of 2020, right? You get a lot of roaches. It's 1-1 roach aggression, but at the end of the day, not really, right? It's just a transitionary tech. It is to allow you to get into those heavily upgraded lurkers, and then once the Terran is finally, you know, recovered from dealing with all the roach aggression, and maybe they feel comfortable, well, it's like, I got 3/3 lurkers, what you gonna do about it? And yes, it does have weaknesses. It's weak to drops. If the Terran takes a good fight against the roaches, you're never gonna get to those lurkers. But if it works out, as it did for Namshar, it's a damn powerful build indeed.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, but when Dark usually plays a little bit more defensive, right? It feels like to me with those roaches. And Namshar here, he was just going for it. He just kept moving in with those roaches into siege tank lines, and just made it work that way.
Yeah, we had Namshar there playing a little bit, taking a page more out of Rogue's book than Dark's book, right? We did see Rogue in the GSL. He played a lot of these roach styles, and some of them he did transition into lurkers when his initial sledgehammer didn't work. But again, that's all evolutions of this idea that Dark started, you know, mid-end of 2020. It got me a lot of wins on ladder before Terrence figured it out, so that made me happy. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna have to see whether Namshar does that again as game number 2. Well, it's gonna be on 2,000 atmospheres. It's another big map, but it's not as a small of a map, right? Because
no.
Right, it's kind of
got that one right as well.
Blackburn is a big map, but it's a small map. All right, it starts small and gets bigger. This map is just bigger overall, right? The rush distances are not nearly as tiny.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, we do have perhaps our last map of the entire day, unless MaSa can do something about it. In the bottom left, in the blue. Well, we already said his name, but let's say it again. He is MaSa.
And in the top right side of the red Zerg, the NA Swede, it is System Gaming's Namshar.
The last time I cast Namshar, I was informed about a Swedish cheese that I totally forget the name of, because it was a ZVZ and we're talking about Namshar's. It's Prost something. It translates to priest cheese.
And I guess cheese. All right.
I guess that makes sense because, you know, monasteries would traditionally produce a lot of those more like not fermented but more cured goods. You know, cheese, beer, vinegar.
Wines,
you know,
and for sure. Yeah, they were the keepers of knowledge back in the day, right? It's funny how there's a lot of, you know, well, at least it's been seen as science versus religion. But before, I mean, religion was science, man. That was what they were doing. That was their thing, or at least in a lot of cases.
Well, then shout out to the Church of Tasia then. Unfortunately, he did retire, but that was both a religion and a science. Man, you remember the I don't know when you started following stuff, but do you remember
stories?
The Reddit posts we saw every time Tasia would play that had the homily of Tasia? You know, blessed are our Marines.
I don't know about the Reddit post. I just know about the rants Tosis always made about Nesty though. Those were great as well.
The creator of the world. We're living in his mind's eye.
It's kind of reminding me of that.
Yeah, was it
similar?
Yeah, we're all living in Namshar's mind's eye. But there was a guy by the name of Lycangrope. I believe he just goes by Lycan now. Who actually sponsored a bunch of tournaments. He sponsored the original Gozu Pizza back in the day and did a bunch of other stuff. And he was a big Tasia fan. So like every major tournament that Tasia was, every play day that Tasia was supposed to play, he would go on and he would post the homily of Tasia, which, you know, blessed are our Marines. I forget exactly what hymn or what homily or whatever he based it on, but, you know, a full-on like multi-stanza prayer to the Church of Tasia so that Tasia may win. It was glorious.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Just overall a lot of fun to do. Spend your time on, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is the most annoying thing. MaSa here, he just puts a couple Marines out, and you know, okay, so if you're sitting here in your Terran and you want to know how to annoy your opponent more than anything else, if you have like a rough idea of where the Overlord's going to be, send those couple Marines out. Invest into it a little bit early. You're going to deny a scout, and you're just going to make them rather mad. And unless you're afraid of them, maybe then you don't want to make them mad. Like making Raynor mad seems like a recipe for disaster here.
I mean, even if he is going to get mad, right? That Overlord's still going to stay dead. It's still going to be a bit rougher to get the scouting, and still going to, you know, supply block them for a little bit, make them spend 100 extra minerals and a larvae overall to keep things going. And those are big things if it's especially that first Overlord in, like, what is it, the first 3 minutes of the game where it dies.
Yeah, that's especially annoying because, right, modern Zergs, they do not send 2 Overlords across the map. It's one, and then your second one hangs out maybe in a drop location, hangs out on the edge of your creep so you can spread creep better. And that means that Namshar is not going to have a scout into the main base here of MaSa, which, what does that mean for MaSa? Cattle bruisers. You asked for it. It's not against a Protoss player, but you're going to get it anyways.
I knew MaSa would deliver with these types of things. It's just, you know, it's why I like to watch his games.
So, and we do not have a roach attack on the way here. So occasionally one of the ways you just deal with this, you're like, yeah, I understand that you're trying to do battle cruisers. So what if I hit you with roaches before those battle cruisers are out? That's why we get safety roaches on occasion. But, well, we don't have any tech like that. Namshar has absolutely misread this. Oh, you know what? Never mind. We do have these Marines on the map as well. So this is a really interesting double-pronged push here. We do not have an armory, which I think would really be nice here. But now, oh, this is actually really cool. So the goal here is to just knock down put as much damage on these queens as possible. Maybe even kill a couple, which means when the battlecruiser teleports in, their queens are going to be rather sad indeed.
It's interesting to be doing this with Hellions, though, right? He must have expected to be running into a couple more Zerglings as well in order for the for those Hellions to actually come into play. But oh, does he see the tech lab? He should do, right? Yeah, he does.
He does, but he
doesn't see the starports,
right? So he thinks this is Banshee.
He didn't see it's on a starboard though, did he?
No,
he doesn't even, like, he knows it's just a tech lab researching something. It could be Stimpack for all he knows.
Ooh, Kozan. It's not just battle cruisers. We have extra factories on the way. We saw double gassed around the 430 mark. Just didn't think about it, but we have mech coming in here from MaSa in this game. Now, this is not the worst map for it, right? It's pretty easy to take 3 or 4 bases, and that's kind of the defining characteristic of a mech map, right? If you can get on into 3 or 4 bases where you want to be, as we do have the battlecruiser on into the main base. Which means the queens are out of position woefully. So a lot.
Oh, that's already a lot of kills.
Ooh, Namshar needs to pull those workers a little bit better. Now, battlecruiser did teleport in, which means it's gonna, well, it's not gonna be able to teleport out, but it's just gonna get out of there. 8 workers and a queen will go on down. And already, right, the goal here of any sort of mech build, right, you want to get damage done early. You need to be able to prevent the Zerg from going out of control and then just smashing you before you're really set up to where you want to be. So 8 workers, a queen, and damage on another queen, a couple Zerglings, all that. MaSa's on the way there. He needs to get more, or he wants to get more at the very least. But we're going to have to see also what version of mech we get here. Is it going to be battle mech underneath these battle cruisers? Is it going to be your more traditional Thor tank Hellbat?
There's Yamato cannon on the way, so I think that's already a pretty reasonable sign that we're going to get a couple more of those. Sometimes you still only stick to the 3 mark, right? Even with Yamato cannon, right? Just to kind of float them around and try to mess stuff up as much as possible. Those queens, every time you use that ability, you can kill a queen off, so this is very valuable.
Yeah, the magic number is just about 3. That's kind of the point where you're like, yeah, I'm okay with spending this much supply on these units without really damaging my ground force too much. Now, go into the late game when there is a lot more, maybe that'll work. But for the time being, yeah, it's just about 3 here. And look at this. We got a bunch of Hellbats just waddling on in. The queens have to defend this, which means the battlecruiser, where is it going to teleport on into? Keeping an eye on the minimap. I do not see it going on in yet. But the battle cruisers, or excuse me, they're not going to get, or the Hellbats are not going to get a lot done. Where's the second battle cruiser? Did it
where
walk
is
across
it?
the map?
Oh no, it's on the left side. It's
Oh, there it
moving
is. Okay.
now.
I clicked on it a couple times, did not show up. So yes, it's not going to warp in.
Oh.
I was kind of thinking that we would see it teleport in. Oh wait, the battle cruiser just went down. That
no,
is.
it TP'd out.
Did it? I thought I saw
It's
it
still,
die.
yeah, it's still alive. It's still alive. That was
Okay.
the queen. The queen died.
Okay, I heard. I thought I heard a mech exploding some, but that makes a lot more sense there.
Yeah.
As now, second battle cruiser will show up here on the left-hand side, just trying to force Namshar around as much as he can. And Namshar, he's playing an incredibly interesting style here against mech, right? Normally it's Roach Ravager Bane or Roach Ravager, or maybe Mutiling Bane if you're feeling particularly ballsy. But this is Hydraling Bane against mech. It can work, but probably not against this style that Namshar has opted to go, or that MaSa has opted to go for.
Yeah, he's still getting the Roach Roar in here also. It's kind of like he's still wondering himself what he's running into. He's sent out a couple of Zerglings trying to figure it out. Is this going to be a lot of, like, is this battle mech? Is this the siege tanks? What's going on?
I mean, what has he seen here? Yeah, I mean, he sees the factory. He's aware of what's happening here. Actually, he's going to see the fact that this tech lab is researching, so he knows it's battle mech now, at the very least in part. And that means, okay, I kind of like Hydraling Bane against battle mech, right? It means you can get the surrounds, the Banelings kill off everything.
Yeah.
But generally, right, you want to go maybe a little bit less gas expensive style. Roach Ravager, Bane, you have that little bit of a buffer because the Lings, they're going to look for the surround, but, well, it's a lot more flimsy if you go Hydraling Bane, right? Because, well, Hellbats, Hellions, they're very good against Hydras if they're not kited properly, if they are able to get in range, and Hellions have a rather significant range. So it's a lot more binary of a style where either you win or you lose. I mean, there's some styles where you're like, I kind of do both, right? We just trade evenly, but again, it's very much I either annihilate or I just lose a lot.
Yeah. It really is. The army that just keeps on trading if you just manage to keep that battle going and you don't mess up the micro. And yeah, as you said, if you just win that first fight, especially against the big Ling numbers, that's very difficult for the Zerg then afterwards to get a successful surround. Yeah,
so how many battle cruisers do we have? We have 4 battle cruisers done now. So you said we might see more, and you're absolutely right here. It looks like 2 did they teleport in? They did not. They ran on in, spent their Yamato cannons, got some workers, killed some queens. I think they actually targeted down some static defense as well. And well, for the moment here, Namshar, he's not going to be able to get too much done. I highly doubt. Yeah, do we have any tanks? Yeah, there's 1 tank. I was going to say, it's going to be very difficult indeed for really Namshar to get anything done before he gets the hive, before he gets Vipers, before he does all that fun stuff. And these battle cruisers, they're just continuing to do damage. Chips and little paper cuts here and there, just forcing Namshar to maybe not be as happy or as happy as healthy as he otherwise would like to be.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing these guys most likely really trade out units soon, though, as they are both approaching the max supply mark. Gonna see how Namshar wants to try and deny some of these bases of MaSa, because that is kind of what it comes down to, right? As long as MaSa kind of makes the same expansions happen as Namshar, he'll most likely win out, because, well, mech, very, very cost efficient. And the Zerg just can't allow that to happen, of course. Nice engagements here, actually. Namshar fighting a lot of these Hellions.
Yeah,
Does
again,
catch all, except for one. No, never mind. It's dead.
Yeah, it's all dead. That is really nice, yes, for Namshar, but you got to remember, at the end of the day, he is spending gas for minerals, which, well, when we look at the end of the game, how does a Zerg player lose? Well, A, they lose in 2 ways. A, they just lose the fight, and it's your big 2-2 or +2, whatever, maxed out mech push where the Zerg just can never fight. That's one way. Way number 2 is the Zerg just runs out of gas, right? They're buying this expensive stuff. They run out of gas, and they just really can never make the fight happen. And again, you just got to be careful about how much gas you do spend. Now, we're a long ways from that. There's at least another base, really another 2 bases that Namshar can realistically take on this map before he's ever worried about mining out the map. And when we talk about mech maps, by the way, the one thing we look at is, yes, can I realistically take 4 maps? Or 4 bases pretty easily? Yes, that is absolutely true here for MaSa on this map. The other thing, though, is how much of the map, how many bases are there available to the Zerg? Because when we're looking at how well you trade or how well you don't trade, I guess, the big thing is if the Zerg can just put themselves in a position where they can just trade inefficiently for quite a while when they have like 6, 7, 8 bases available to them, that map is not going to be nearly as good for a mech player. As the Hydras will return home, battlecruisers will go down. So a map like this, yes, you get 4 bases pretty easily. 5th base, maybe. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. But again, the Zerg can take their entire side of the map relatively easily. And that does mean that Namshar is going to be able to build that bank, going to be able to build that army that can consistently trade inefficiently for longer, as compared to like a Beckett, which is actually a really good mech map because you get your 3, 4 bases for free. And I think there are only 6 bases available to the Zerg. So again, you have a little bit less of an income differential here, as we do now have MaSa just moving out on the map.
A bit of a scuffle before there's any lurkers available just quite yet here for Namshar. Looks like he will have to bank on just Hydra Ling Bane for the time being. Mostly morphing Banelings. If you are going to start morphing those Hydras now into lurkers as well, could be a rough one. You may not just have the numbers anymore. Here come the Vipers actually from the bottom. Oh, those blinding clouds are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that
covering pretty much all of them.
There. Oh, what a move there from Namshar. And you know what? Even with those, like, what is it, 4 blinding clouds, there were still tanks that were unsieged. But man, the entire army on the left-hand side will go down. But look what MaSa's doing, right? This was as much as he didn't want to lose. This is what you want, as much as he wanted to get more done. This distracted Namshar from the fact that he lost 2 bases on the right-hand side, which is not all that great. I mean, these battlecruisers, they have +2 armor, by the way. These Hydras, they're not really going to fight them all that well.
Yeah, they do a lot of damage against those Hydras indeed. And the Hydras, they even have +3 armor. And the battlecruisers don't even have a single weapons upgrade, so...
Yeah, it's really more of a matter that the Hydras will not kill the battlecruisers all that fast with the +2 armor, because Hydras, they're DPS units, right? They're not high burst damage. So when you have armor, similar reason why upgrades are so important in TVT. When you get armor against high rate of fire units, it is so much more impactful. It applies every time. So it just scales a whole lot better here. So now we have this, not sure what this medevac's doing on the map.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe just waiting for these Hellions to turn into Hellbats so he can heal them. I'm not sure what else. Well, he's trying to just make sure that, you know, they feel safe and secure. Oh, it's dead. Well,
it's the long
mission
con.
failed. Yep, all right, well. MaSa already taken 5 bases here, by the way. It's starting to make me quite a bit worried for Namshar, as he, I just feel like he will have to find a way to break at least one of those.
Well, this may be
otherwise it might become too easy for MaSa to keep just expanding upon this, right?
Yeah, I mean, this may be what he's looking for, though, as he does knock down a bunch of tanks, some Hellions as well, but I think there's a second layer of tanks here. He needs to go back. He needs to get more energy on these Vipers. And the one thing I would love to see from him, which we haven't seen yet, is I want to see forward evos, right? Allowing your Vipers to actually go on and recover energy in the middle of the fight here. Now, we do have the Hydras. They're going to take that one down. They will get 1 battlecruiser. That's actually rather surprising. There we go. More will go on. We'll be able to get on out here. Battlecruisers, though, they're just going to teleport on the right-hand side. They said, hey, look, we forced your army left. It's not nearly as good when it's not set up here, so this base is going to go down. Yeah, I'll trade a battlecruiser for a base at this point in the game.
Wow, yeah, even manages to get most of this army now in a pretty successful place. And it's going to be a rough one to clean up for these Hydras. Looks like he doesn't even want to attempt it right now.
Ah, man, but he spent Viper energy on it. Oh, there is no... How do you break into this? These tanks are just everywhere. Yes, we do have some abducts here. These battlecruisers, their threat that they represent on the map is finally going to go down. We have Banelings, or just Zerglings running on in. 14 workers do go down as well. These abducts are really nice, but you're going to need a lot more of them because, again, you cannot blinding cloud engage this. The tanks are too well spread. There are too many of them. And by the way, they're about to get +3 as well, so they're going to hit harder than a truck. And now Namshar, his bank is gone. We forced MaSa. His bank was forced to get spent a little bit previously, but this is not he's going to try to get on top of this, but there are so many tanks sitting here behind. Hydras will not trade efficiently here, and I mean, yes, maybe MaSa's going to lose the forward tanks, but he's not going to lose the ones in the rear. Not for a while at the very least. And again, we're talking about efficiency of trades. MaSa is out trading this in the extreme.
Yeah, even getting more economic damage now on this left side. Looking at the supplies, this is the absolute worst situation for a Zerg to be in, especially in this, you know, kind of mech kind of situation where you're playing against Being below in supply, that's a death sentence right now, especially with this margin and no way of resupplying your forces. Namshar, he's struggling, and I don't think he's going to be able to wiggle himself free here.
Yeah, the issue we're dealing with right now is Namshar, he's stuck on lair adjacent tech, right? Yes, he got Vipers, but everything else was Hydroling Bane. He got the upgrades for Lurkers, but he didn't get any Lurkers. And yeah, you know what? You can fight mech with Hydro Lurker Viper. You get the abducts, you just slowly work it on out. But Hydroling Bane is a much more, we talked about this a bit earlier, it's a boomer bust composition, right? You either get the damage you need or you don't. And if you don't, you kind of die. So MaSa, he's kind of forcing Namshar to die in this game. Namshar now, he's stuck back pretty much on his 4 bases. He does have this upper left one that's not mining, so it's not exactly relevant at the moment. And even more importantly, it's not like any workers will get there because we have that all forcing it on out. There we have it, GG. MaSa, he's going to take game 2, and he's going to make this game a series. Well, he's going to make this series a series.
That's right. That's right. Tying it up right now, MaSa. Well played with a bit of mech, and I'm wondering how quickly Namshar was kind of aware of what was coming at him. Seems like he was guessing for a little bit, especially after losing that first Overlord right there. It's kind of the one that is supposed to scout out that battle cruisers and such are coming. So a difficult one for him. MaSa, well played though. He knows how to make those types of things go off successfully, right? And yeah, well played.
Well played indeed. So Vermanticide is going to be our third map, our final map of this series, and we are blessed. Talking about like how I thought the series was actually going to be rather good, even if they're at the bottom of the group. And I think thus far we have not been disappointed. MaSa made game number 1 last a lot longer than he should have been able to, right? So really good play there. And Namshar, for his part, he took that game late too. The game was really interesting. MaSa played rather well, and now Romanticide is going to be our third map. But Kozan, before we get into this game, I got a question for you. Are we going to see mech again?
It might happen. It's a big map. So, you know what, MaSa, wouldn't put it out of the question. He's had success with it, so I feel like he's just going to try that again here.
All right, well, we're going to have to see whether that is going to be the case, as we do have our third and final map of this series. In fact, final map of the day coming on up. Let's get into it. All right, then. Here we are for the last time, spawning in the bottom right in the red. He is, for Storm Gaming, Namshar.
And his new teammate, a new arrival to the Storm Gaming. That's a blue Terran lurking around in that top left side. It is MaSa.
So, Kozan, it's a big map. Right?
It is.
It is, in fact, a big map. We saw the benefit of that in the previous game. It allowed MaSa to get something done, to not just die to roaches. And now we're at this point, right? MaSa, he played a style that was rather dominant. He did a good job of it. Namshar, though, did something similar in game number 1, and Namshar's style in game 1 is good against what MaSa did in game 2. So, does that mean we see Namshar go for that style once again? The game 1 style, I mean, with all the roaches.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, right? It seemed like you could handle it very well, and yeah, I think you're on a pretty right track there. That would be pretty nice to see. But yeah, it's still a question about MaSa, right? He is a mastermind of just confusing his opponents sometimes as well. Same for me. Like I think he's gonna go for a mech again, but really. It's a bit of a wild card character.
Yeah, I mean, Romanticide, it's not that bad of a map. I mean, at the highest level, I think the people like Clem would say, yeah, mech's just bad in general. But, well, when we look at whether a map is good for mech or not, this one's not bad. Again, you kind of get your 3 or 4 bases pretty easily. And if you decide to expand to the 12 o'clock position, you kind of get 2 bases for the price of 1. So that's always going to be nice there for the meching player. They can kind of cover multiple things at the same time, get as many expansions as they would like. Getting up to 5 is really where mech players super happy. But well, we're gonna have to see whether that is what he opts to go for, because right now it's just, well, it's not a Reaper expand, right? So we can't say it's just your standard Reaper expand, but this is gonna be a Marine expand here. And that may mean MaSa is interested in going into like the macro version of a 2-1-1, right? He's not going for the immediate 2-1-1. We don't see that second barracks on the way immediately. Okay, never mind. I think this is mech.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna try to clear out the Overlord again here, the same as the previous game.
But the Overlord's
But there's no Overlords. Namshar, yeah, he just never sent it across. I thought for a moment as well that like MaSa saw the Overlord heading towards the north face, so he might still check there. But yeah, Namshar just never sent it across. He got so frustrated with that Overlord kill the previous time. He's just like, all right, I'm just not scouting. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm not going over there.
Oh man,
you
I love
win.
it.
Fine.
That's I love the play there, right? Now, notionally, right, this puts MaSa a little bit tempo behind, right? Because the barracks was not building things, but Kozan, in my experience at the very least, and when I watch these games, if I see a barracks floating right before 4 minutes, just to knock down a vision, 99 times out of 100, right? That is A, it's a hellbat timing, which is what we see right here, or B, it's mech, and C, it's hellbat, it's into mech, right? So, Namshar, maybe that's just because of the quality of the games I play, but Namshar, he should have some idea that something weird. Well, actually, no, he won't, right?
For sure.
Because he didn't see. Did he see the barracks actually? No. Okay, the Zergling saw the barracks floating, so he's fine. But it's not like
for
he
that
lost an
exact
Overlord.
reason why I tend to use the main command center instead, because it doesn't give away whether or not you're using the barracks or the factory, more so, right?
You float the main command center down to the natural to not give away whether you're using a barracks or not.
Exactly. And this is this is the future of strategies. People just haven't caught up just yet. It will happen eventually. Anyway, we do have those battle cruisers coming in once again.
That we do,
And
we see what. Okay, we're actually going to see a more advanced version of the build we saw last time. Last game, there was no armory. I don't know whether MaSa went back and saw Avad, but this time there is an army, right? It's going to be that much more powerful of a push. That being said, though, it does mean the battle cruisers are like, they will never sync up with this. It's not like we can teleport, or not like MaSa can teleport a battle cruiser on top of these queens. But again, the goal here, kill as many queens, damage as many queens as possible. And oh, really, look at this micro here from Namshar. He's just making sure everything stays alive.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. He is bringing most of those queens just in clusters of really 1 unit each, moving them in every which way that he needs to, and those helmets just not getting on top of them. 2 queens in total have gone down. That's very impressive stuff there. Great control from Namshar. And looking fairly sharp. 3 workers going down in total, but that puts him at a grand total of 6 queens. That should still be enough for a first battle cruiser coming in. Oh, he's already done this. He knows what's coming. He knows MaSa. He's all right, I think I know what's going on.
I mean, again, though, this is the same build that we saw Namshar do. Well, saw MaSa do effectively in the previous game. So, not only, right, is Namshar going to be aware that, yes, okay, he floated his barracks to go deal with my Overlord that I didn't put there. Haha. But I know he's doing something mechish, right? You don't miss out on that much production time on a barracks early on unless you're just not really you don't really care about it all that much. So there we go. First battle cruiser is now done. Yamato cannon is on the way, and yeah, this is going to be mech in this game. Kozan, you had the right of it.
Yeah, I'm just lucky sometimes, I guess. Here he goes. He will try to get a good amount of drones here. He has an opportunity to do so. Again, getting 6-7. Ooh, almost gets the 7th. Quick spore crawler trick there, saving the day. And now all those queens now working together, forming the queen union together and getting rid of that invasive species that is not really wanted in the mineral line kind of atmosphere.
Yep. So as we look at things, right? As the battle cruiser, the first level of it, it's kind of done, where you have a second battle cruiser on the way, of course. But for the moment here, battle cruiser aggression has been delayed just a little bit. Oh, nice job there. Not gonna, never mind. He's getting. But anyway, oh, that queen is gonna have to be careful too. Anyways, MaSa at the end of the day did get a little bit more damage than he did in the previous game, right? He got 9 workers instead of 8, and he got 2 queens instead of 1 at the end of the day. So yeah, he's in a little bit better spot, especially considering 3 of those workers were killed earlier on. So again, the economies of scale is going to be better there for MaSa. He's going to get 5 more workers as well before he teleports on out. And now he's also aware that there are mutas on the map. Mutas, sure, they can deal with battle cruisers in low numbers, but they're not all that great against him.
Yeah, especially if there's SCVs just right underneath. That repair is going to keep them alive for such a long period of time. Instantly, 2 Yamato cannons, taking out 2 of them as well. And 5 Mutalisk. Yeah, it's just not a good match against battle cruisers, like you said.
Well, we do have no missile turret in the main base, which means these mutas, they do have a little bit of free reign here. So the battlecruisers are actually not tracking them properly. So the mutas should be able to fly on into the natural, but we have a missile turret there. No worries. So Namshar, he's going to get his 8 workers. He's going to get his pound of flesh. But it looks like he's not committing to that all that much more. If he does stay air, maybe Corruptors, I think would be the play. But, I mean, these mutas, how many of them? What, he lost 3 mutas. He made a total of 7. It feels like this is much more of a tempo play than like a truly committed muta style. But behind this, he has 1-1 ground. He has melee attack on the way. And Mutiling Bait, it's a style you can play against Mech. And look at this Namshar. He's at over 100 workers. So this is absolutely the style he's playing.
Wow. Very cool to see. Very, very aggressive with that greed. And yeah, I'm getting a bit giddy to see how Namshar is going to play this. We'll see if if all those waves continuously crashing in here are going to be able to keep MaSa from expanding or not.
Well, we will have
a lot of Mutalisk.
A lot of mutas on the way. They're not really here yet, and 1 more will go down. And I mean, how many mutas are we gonna have? It's only gonna be 10, so we're gonna see 2 Yamatos. Oh, they're just gonna Yamato the one muta, 1 queen. And on it, like yes, there is +1 here on these mutas. So eventually we're gonna have this stuff go down, but it just dies so slowly. 9 workers go down. It's free damage. He
just kept sending in drones. It looked like that MaSa was like, I should TP, but there's just more drones coming. He just keeps sending them. He's just killing more and more of them.
Hungry battlecruisers is the name of the game here. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Namshar's still at over 100 workers. You know, and if we look at percentages, you know, losing 5 workers when you're at 20, yeah, that's a lot. Losing 9 workers when you're at 100 is not nearly as much. So I guess that's a saving grace from here. As we do have the Hellions looking to dive on in. They're going to hit right before Blue Flame. Not that it matters. Banelings will kill them off, but man, what an anti-timing there.
Oh, big commitment there with those Mutalisk. Entering the main base from the north side. Thor being mass repaired, and that's going to keep it up alive just enough. A lot of SCVs are going to go down, though. Will the Mutalisk find enough damage here to make this all worth? I'd say, well, you know what? That poke was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think so. The Thor didn't die, but 13 workers did go down. All of the static defense there for MaSa went down. And, you know, this is something we see some Terran players. Some Terran players are just on top of it from a static defense perspective. They're like, yes, I'm going to build like 5 missile turrets a base because I know you're committing to it. I know that's what you're doing. And that's what I would expect to see out of MaSa here in this game. But it looks like he's trying to cut corners on his missile turrets just a little bit, making sure that he has everything else that he needs. Because, I mean, how many mutas are here? We have a flock of 31 mutas here in this game. The static defense really doesn't have much you can say about it. And the mutas, they're just going to sit on top of this. Battlecruiser is going to be forced to teleport out. We don't have any Thors in the main base. And this is the damage that Namshar has been looking for. This is tremendous damage. I think he's killed like 30 SCVs in the last minute. And yes, we do have Yamatos, and they're going to be able to kill something off here. But there we go, +1 ground attacks going down as well, which means the Thors are not going to be as powerful. We're going to get on into +2 mutas as well rather soon. And Namshar is literally doubling the economy of MaSa in this game.
What would you like to see MaSa try and do here, right? Because I'm kind of leaning towards just seeing him get like maybe 5 extra workers and then just filling up all the supply that he can with just army. And then go for a push with near 150 army supply.
Yeah, I think that is the downside of the style that Namshar has decided to play, right? Your army in a straight-up engagement is not all that good, but if you just never let your opponent get there, it doesn't really matter. So the mutas, they force a teleport to these battle cruisers only for them to die. These are +2 mutas, right? Yeah, we talked about how mutas are not all that great against battle cruisers, but when you got a +2 against the battle cruisers, I mean, yeah, you're going to be pretty fine here indeed. As 28 more workers go on down, MaSa, he's building a big army, right? His army is unmistakably good. He has 30 SCVs. He's gonna lose an orbital too.
It's not looking all that great. He's trying to do some counter damage with like Hellions that do have blue flame, and they could find some success, but it looks like he's being kept busy with a couple of links there. Going in for the mineral lane now. We'll see those drone kills coming in.
I mean, this is nice, but again, we're looking at economies of scale. Namshar had 100 workers going into this. MaSa has 28. Yeah, he's trying to build more, but It's a problem. That being said, though, this army here from MaSa, what does it have? It is 3 tanks, sure, 9 Thors here. They have +2 armor. They don't have attack. That's coming eventually. It's not going to be relevant for this push. And we have drilling claws on the way as well, which is interesting because I don't think there are that many Widow Mines. But MaSa realized that he's like, look, I'm at 30 workers. I need to get something done. These Thors actually, for all they're heavily upgraded, they just don't die as fast, right? They don't do a lot of damage. But here we go. The boys have been pulled here. And Namshar, he's just going for a full-on base trade. He's going to get in there that much faster as the Thor's going to get a couple more shots. But you're base trading a Zerg who owns the entire map. That doesn't seem like the best way to play this game.
I feel like you, at this point in time, you're not really like, you know he's going to go for the base race, right? He's not going to try to fight you straight up with those Mutilisks. He's going to just go for your base. What do you say? Would you... It's a crazy, wild, out there idea, but what if you just pick up most of your buildings and just take them with you, with your army above all those Thors?
You know, that's actually I mean, I think it's a little bit too late now. You're never going to get it. They're never going to get to the Thors in time. But yeah, that's an idea. And oh, I like this. So many Widow Mines are being made, but well, they're just not going to get their burrow off in time. And yeah, we're going to see some shots. Some mutas will die here, but not enough. And I love this, right? We did see MaSa. He dropped mules. He said, yeah, although he's not repairing. There we go. He dropped mules. He's like, look, whatever money I have, it goes to keeping these Thors alive. And all MaSa, or excuse me, all Namshar has to do is just do damage to these Thors. There we go. Bailey's rolling on it. He doesn't really care. Again, economies of scale. As long as he kills off the Thors, his mutas will take care of the rest. Or at the very least, does enough damage to these Thors to be able to allow the mutas to fight. But I mean, the Thors, they're still around. They're still 5.
Yeah, especially if they get that repair going right now. There's still some money coming into the bank for MaSa. You don't need that much to repair, but apparently he doesn't even have really enough of that. Coming in closer towards the main tech buildings here of Namshar. As soon as he loses that, it's going to be quite difficult for him to build anything that is interesting. Although Zerglings here actually would do pretty good against the SCV Thor. And then I suppose, how many Mutilisks does he still have? 22. Yeah, that's going to kill those battle cruisers. So maybe a big influx of links right now straight into those Mutilisks who's jumping on the battle cruisers. I think he has it. I don't think this push from MaSa, unfortunately, is going to be enough. It's a blazing trail of glory here in the end for him. But Namshar, he's playing it smart. He's bulking up right now. He's bringing everything together.
Yeah,
there he goes.
We don't have any more Bailey now, so we're going to see a couple Yamato going on immediately, and we just have the magic box coming on in here. Are the Thors going to be enough? That's the big question. If the Thors go down, that's going to be it. There we go. Thors, they're all dead. The battle cruisers, they're not going to be able to survive either. The mutas, they are dominant in the skies. MaSa has nothing left on the ground, and this is going to be a Namshar in a base trade. He takes his first series here.